Hey guys, this is Abe with the Foundry Fighting and Fitness. This is our second episode of our podcast here. And today I'm joined by a good friend of mine and guest, Bob LeFavi. He's a professor of health science at USC Beaufort, and he's got a wealth of knowledge to share with us today. So, Bob, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your expertise in history.
Yeah, great to be here, Abe. Big fan of Foundry. I love training here. Um, so my background is multivaried. In academics, undergrad and doctorate in health sciences, exercise science. Been a professor for some 35 years, Armstrong, Georgia Southern, and now up at USC Beaufort. Um, Also have owned a number of fitness centers, Gold's Gym for 15 years, CrossFit even. So I've kind of dipped my toe in the water in many different areas of fitness as a competitor in weightlifting and bodybuilding, but also as a fitness center owner and at the academic side. So
Mhm.
I kind of come from different vantage points when I'm looking at the fitness center and fitness in general.
Gotcha. And as a member of this gym, I know that you get pointed out as, maybe it's your gym because of the awesome interviews that you've done in the videos you've
Yeah.
done for us in the past. But, I know that I've gone to you for some different advice here and there. A number of our members here do as well. Um, let's talk from the point of view of a new member
Mm.
looking to get into shape for the very first time, never been in a gym. What do you think the right, steps or mindset should be, or the psychology, I guess, since you do have a background in that, what kinda advantages can they look for in working out, or what should their mindset be when they start training?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm proud if somebody confuses me with
Mhm.
being the owner of this gym, because I think it's a fantastic gym. I think you got a great model here, and you do a good job with it. Um, I think the short answer to that question is you got to give it 2 to 3 weeks. You have to give it a period of time, and I think 3 weeks, where it can become part of your routine, where you can begin to see changes and feel changes, and B, it can become so much a part of your routine that if you do miss, you feel it, you recognize it. You're like, oh, I didn't get to the gym today. That's important because that's where the investment comes in, and
Mhm.
you want to keep that investment going. The longer answer, or the other more overarching answer, is you have to be able to get past some of the things that are barriers to people. One of the barriers is the intimidation factor.
Sure.
People will come in and they'll see equipment they don't know. They'll see people doing things they don't know how to do. They'll see people that are in shape, um, and they'll think, well, I'm not in shape, and maybe feel reluctant to come in because they are perhaps a bit, I don't know, intimidated. And we see this a lot with women. And I've had, when I own my own fitness center, I had people say to me, they'll see me on the street and they'll say, Bob, I really want to come into your gym, but I have to get in shape first. And I think, no, that's the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I think people often, I know they overestimate an evaluation they think is going on,
Sure.
particularly in this fitness center. And there is no judging. There's no, I mean, they may be judging themselves, but nobody's looking around at someone else, and thinking, oh, they shouldn't be in here, or they
Mhm.
need to get in shape first. They're proud of the fact that you're there.
For
And
sure.
it's really important for women. And I teach women, young women, this in my classes. I'm like, look, you come into a fitness center and you walk over to that platform or that squat rack or that bench press or even that machine, you got immediate respect, right? You're in there, you're working just like everybody else. You got immediate respect. Nobody's evaluating and judging. Um, and I think part of that is because people come in with some baggage, right? I've tried this before and it hasn't worked. And so there's a bit of a low self-esteem coming in, and it's hard for them just to walk in the door, and they don't know where to begin and how to do it. So that has to be overcome. And that can only be overcome with a little bit of success and consistency, and just coming in, even if you feel like, eyes are on you and they're not, even if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, and there's ways to get around that too. It's got to be 2, 3 weeks of consistency.
So with that consistency and small goals, probably, looking at don't try to lose 50 pounds in a week.
Mm.
If you have 50 pounds to lose, it's going to take a little while. Knowing that going in is probably a big help because, the idea behind timelines, and I've heard this before, and it makes a lot of sense when you think of it this way. It takes a while to gain a lot of weight,
Mhm.
but it also takes that much time, if not more, to lose that weight. And in
It's
some cases, you can lose it fast, but I think that people have this expectation, and I know it comes from, an urgency in some cases. They
Mhm.
go to the doctor, they say, "Oh, you need to lose this much weight." But with those expectations of trying to hit numbers that aren't very feasible,
Mhm.
the consistency is there. And
Mhm.
the other thing that we talked about before, and I think it's worth mentioning now, is comparison.
Yeah.
The idea of maybe you're not in the best shape. You come in and you look at the guy next to you on the bench and he's
Yeah.
ripped. He's got
Yeah.
tons of
Yeah.
muscle.
Yeah.
Or you're a woman working out and you look over and that girl's got
Mhm.
the body that you wish you had.
Right.
And you get a little comparison check where
Right.
you're like, I'll never be that.
Right. But that person that's doing that routine isn't doing anything more than you in your routine. They've just done it for a longer period of time.
Mm,
So, first of all, you're exactly right when it comes to things, especially like weight loss. And weight loss is one of the most important things for people. It's a goal when they're come in the door, right? Everybody wants to get a little bit leaner. Very few people don't. And perspective on time frame. Yes, the weight was put on over a longer period of time, but I'll never forget this person that I worked with who um, was a good bit overweight, was a chef, and was still overweight, and wanted to get back in shape. And they came to me, and I said, "Okay, so what we're going to do. All right, we're going to make some small changes in your meal plan. We're going to get you in the fitness center. By the way, your listeners should know not to look at the scale, right? The
yeah,
scale that you can actually put on weight and get leaner because muscle weighs a good bit more than fat. Muscle is 80% water, fat is 20% water. So you can't go by that. You got to go by the mirror. So they came to me and they said, I want to lose some weight. And I said, okay, so we're going to do, we're going to make these small changes. In 3 months, we're going to have you here. In 6 months, we're going to have you here. And here's you go where you're going to be in a year, right? Which is significantly leaner, right? I think it was, a good 40, 50 pounds or so would have really made a big difference. That was too slow for them. In their mind, they had to jump on this fad thing that was going on, where they paid a lot of money and we get these injections and it was silly. Of course, no exercise, right?
sure.
None of that worked. It was nothing to do with lifestyle changes at all. They came back to me in about 9 months or so and said, "Mom, I'm distraught. If I would have done what you'd said, I'd be here. Now I'm heavier than I've ever been. None of that worked." And so yes, being again getting on, getting some success behind you. Nothing breeds success like success. Getting into the fitness center, getting into the gym, getting some weeks, a month, 2 months behind you, and tracking your own progress because that gets to the comparison. If I'm looking around and I'm looking at somebody else, that's not a legitimate evaluation measure for me. I evaluate me against me. That's all I'm competing against, right? They are them. They are their own genetics. They are their own baggage. They're on their own stuff, and they have their own history of training. It's only me against me. So I'm intent about this. Pictures, same lighting, same clothing, same angle, same everything. Measuring you against you in terms of how your clothes fit, how you feel, and those pictures is the most important thing.
Sure.
Take them every few weeks, right? And you'll begin to see a measurable difference. You get around to 3 months, 6 months, and you will be so proud of your progress and what you've invested in. That is the most important thing. What I oftentimes get frustrated about are people who some of my students will say, Dr. LeFavi, I want to look like this, right? And they show me a picture that has clearly been edited, and I will show them how the picture has been edited. So they're trying to attain something that is not even real.
The Photoshop diet.
It's not even exactly. It's like, look, okay, this line moved
Mhm.
because right, the tile is not shaped like an oval because this has been waist has been drawn in, butt has been drawn out. It's just like not real. So we can measure ourselves against us. Our own mirror does not lie. Our own camera does not lie, and that is really the only measure that is valid and attainable, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, that's key.
And you gotta know that the people on the other side of that, that you're comparing yourself against, they're comparing themselves against other people too. Like,
Exactly.
the biggest
That
guy in the gym's looking at the second biggest guy at the gym saying, "He's getting close."
right. Exactly right. But what I found, especially in Foundry, is I mean, people are just happy for you to be here.
Mhm,
Just happy for you to come in and train. They're proud of the fact that you're there, right? I mean, I don't evaluate people when they come in terms of, okay, they're this heavy or that heavy. But if I see someone who, maybe has a health issue at 350 pounds, I want them on the treadmill more than I want them in. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, good for him.
mhm.
Oh, good for her. Right?
Yeah,
They're working. They're here. They're after it. I'm gonna encourage them.
sure.
Right? There's no evaluation. Nobody cares that your butt is jiggling on the treadmill. Butts jiggle, by the way,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's
At all
normal
levels of
at all
fitness.
levels of it, right? Nobody cares about that. Come
Mhm,
in, be proud of yourself, go after it, right? So I think that is a mindset shift that really has to change,
mhm.
I think, and it can feed toward motivation.
And so, we have comparison, we have the initial, like you were saying, the first steps mentality is set small goals, be consistent.
Mhm.
From there, try not to get caught in the comparison game. Try not to get caught in and saying, "Well, this person is this way, this person's that way." But then you had also said the other intimidation factor is really not knowing what to do, where to start, where
Right.
to go.
Right.
And so, obviously, at a fitness center, you're usually going to find trainers. There's online coaches and everything else. I personally think that the best case scenario is to work either in a group fitness setting or with a
Mhm.
personal trainer in person because they can see you for who you are. They can see all the angles. They can help spot you. They can do those things that an online coach can't do. But at the same time, do you, in your experience, what kind of level of importance or benefit would you say working with a trainer or in a
Yeah.
group fitness class is that for someone who's a novice or a beginner in fitness?
Critical. Absolutely. And I'm not a trainer and I don't sell training. It's absolutely critical. And here's why. Motivation is key. Consistent motivation means consistent results, means consistent activity, consistent results. So the biggest theory that we work on in motivation is something called Vroom's theory. You don't have to have it memorized, but it has three components. Number one is something called expectancy. That is confidence that you can follow and be successful at a program, at some regimen
Mhm.
or diet or whatever it happens to be. The second thing is instrumentality. That is the actual method you're using, the program, the diet, whatever it happens to be. And the third thing is called valence, which is the value you attribute to that outcome, like how important all this is to you,
Sure.
right? The first two, expectancy, and all three of these things get multiplied together. All three of these things equal motivation. So how much you expect you can be successful at a program, how good that program is, the instrument, and how important all this is to you. Okay. The first two are all mediated by a trainer. That trainer gives you the expectancy, gives you the confidence that I can do this, right?
Mhm.
They help you through the workouts. They teach you what's called self efficacy, that you can be successful at this, right? They're helping you through each workout and they're showing you that. And the second thing, the instrument, the method itself, the program is what they're teaching you. So the trainer is the mediator to education,
Sure.
right? They're teaching you things you don't know. This is how you do this piece of equipment. This is how you line yourself up. This is when you change the weight. This is, how you should feel at the end. These are the muscles that you should feel, right? This is how you add some intensity to it and forced reps, right? All of that is education. Once you learn that, now I'm confident, hey, I can do this on my own, right? There's an older woman in here who you would recognize who's never been in a fitness center ever, out of shape completely. I saw her working with one of your trainers, probably for it was a couple of months, probably, and now doesn't need the trainer anymore. She's in here, but first of all, by the way, she looks great. I mean, she's really put on muscle and has really made some changes. It looks good,
Mhm.
And now I see her and she's doing it all on her own. Now, every once in a while, I'll see she may be in here on a Saturday and picks up a session with the trainer just to pick up more information, just to
Sure.
add to the library of the different exercises. Maybe she's getting a little bored with some things and
Mm,
wants to add to some stuff and decided, well, let's have the trainer, let me have her show me something else. And so, absolutely critical. You don't need a trainer the rest of your life, but someone who can give you that confidence and give you the library of exercises, the method, the regimen itself, so you feel comfortable coming in and doing things on your own and that you know what you're doing. Absolutely vital, right? I mean, that's the most important thing, starting out on a good foot. Can you come in here and just wing it and learn all the machines on your own? Yeah. Is it easy? No. And you'll
mm.
feel alone and you'll feel like you have a lot of questions you want to ask, right? And sometimes people don't want to ask that question.
And like for me, in my experience being a martial arts trainer, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and so forth, I see a lot of beginners that come in and like we don't just have an open gym for MMA. We do
Yeah,
classes for
yeah,
necessity. So we are definitely going to focus on learning techniques. And that's critical because with learning those techniques, they're getting a chance to, get confidence in that. And anything they do wrong
mm,
can immediately be corrected.
mhm,
And so I think, and again, I do have some skin in the game. I'm the owner of the gym, so I think it's important to work with trainers because you can watch YouTube videos.
mhm,
As a martial arts instructor, I watch YouTube videos
mhm,
on how to do certain martial arts things. Fitness things is no different. There's people doing all kinds of tutorials online. We even put out our own
yeah,
tutorials here. But the problem is the ability to see and correct. You don't get that in a YouTube video.
no question.
And even in an online trainer scenario where you send them a video, that person's not going to stop you from doing something wrong in the
No,
moment
no,
that could cause an injury or
no,
something else. So I think it's definitely, I see what you're saying for sure that having the methodology, the instruction on how to do the technique is critical, having the motivation behind it. And then on top of that, also being able to correct somebody in those cases when maybe they're doing the wrong technique.
yeah,
Maybe their knees are a little bit in the wrong position, and if they go a little bit further, they can definitely damage a ligament. Having a trainer there watching, I think, is very important because and you can maybe talk about this a little bit. There are injuries that happen in training. Some injuries are beneficial, or not injuries, but some pain is
mhm,
beneficial
mhm,
in training. It lets you know that your body is repairing itself and getting
mhm,
stronger. But let's talk about, preventative,
mhm,
ways to stay safe while you're training and also what you can expect if you're new to fitness, what you should expect to feel in your body and what you should try to avoid feeling in your body.
yeah. All right, so there's a lot to unpack there, and those are all good points. Abe, I think being under exercised is a pandemic. I think that is one of the most important health problems in the American culture. We human beings were made to be active. We Many people will get in their car, go to their office, sit for 8 hours, go home, back in their car, and sit in front of a TV. We are an underexercised population. It leads to a lot of different health problems. Most people have no idea how good they can be physically, how strong they really
Sure.
are, how fit they can really be. So, to me, the most important thing is learning how you can be more active and be more fit. So, an investment, a small investment in something as important as your fitness and strength, um, is so well worth it. I mean, and none of your trainers charge very much, and most trainers really don't. But to me, it is so valuable.
Sure.
So to be able to make that investment in someone who can actually help teach you correct technique, and you're exactly right. The muscle responds when you train it efficiently. And doing something wrong means you're not, a wrong technique means you're not training the muscle efficiently and could even lead to injury. One small change in what you're doing is enough to take you from bad technique to good technique. So having someone who knows what they're doing with good coach's eyes, who's watching everything that you're doing and says, you know what? We need to go ahead and move your hands out. We need to move your feet in. I need you to turn your wrist up a little bit more. Can completely change the game
Mhm.
and put you in a position where you're now training the muscle efficiently. Having that person watching you session after session until you feel comfortable that you got it and you're automatic about it and you get right in that position and you're feeling it is so very important. And then you will feel it the next day. And we talk about this thing, no pain, no gain. Well, that is actually true. Your only way your muscle responds is when you give it a stress it's not accustomed to, and the muscle fiber actually tears, and therefore you feel soreness because you have these pain receptors. And tearing the muscle brings water to the area, causes edema, and that hits these pain receptors. And you should feel some muscle soreness the next day, right?
Mhm.
If you train chest and the next day you don't feel any tightness in your pecs when you're putting your shirt on, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. What did you really do, right? So if you come in and you do the same thing over and over and over again without changing the intensity, increasing the weight, changing shortening the rest period, or changing the method that you're using, going from a machine to a dumbbell to a barbell, whatever it happens to be, then you're really not capitalizing on the work, right? You're going through motions, but you're not pushing the envelope. And it's really in the pushing of the envelope where you have that growth. So yeah, joint pain, sharp pain, that's one thing. We don't normally see that a lot unless you've catastrophically done something wrong, right? Mostly what we're looking at is delayed muscle soreness, and that means that's a reflection of you really pushing it, having a trainer or someone who can show you how to get to forced reps or increasing intensity in an efficient manner. And I just think a trainer is really necessary at the beginning to give you that knowledge, right?
Sure. I've also heard this other statement. I think it's an awesome line. I use it as much as I can, but it's worth paying for other people's mistakes.
Yeah,
And so, how many times do you have to do it the wrong way and not get results? Is it worth paying a little bit of money
right.
to learn to go to bypass all those mistakes that you're going to make? Somebody else has already made the mistakes. The fitness industry is not new, but obviously it's improved year after year because people find better ways to do things and the most beneficial information. If you can get that from day one, you're
Yeah,
going to have the best results. And yeah, we need to be realistic, right? We can't just expect, oh, because it's 2024, I can get in great shape in a month
right.
if I'm in horrible shape.
Yeah,
But at the same time, you don't have to make all the mistakes that everyone else makes when they start training. If you just bypass it and go straight to a trainer and pay a little bit of money, yes, but like you said, it's worth it. The investment's good because your body and your fitness is one of the most important things that you can control and that you have in your life, you know?
absolutely. And that trainer is working with other people and they know the most efficient exercises and how to perform them in the most effective way so you get the best results, right? Jumping right to that, right? Bypassing A, B, C, D, that learning process, going right to Z. It's like, okay, show me the best way to do this. Am I doing this right? That is absolutely key. That's the best way that you're going to get results. That's the best way you're going to feel it the next day and know that you're making some gains. So if you can certainly try to do things on your own, but it makes things extremely difficult because you don't know how much should I be pushing here? What should this really feel like? Having that trainer give you that, or that educated person, whoever it happens to be, giving that information is I think it's vital to the initial first few weeks of success,
Mhm.
and that is vital to having you come back and continuing because you're seeing progress.
So now that we sound a little infomercially here for a
Yeah,
second,
right. Do
let's take a little side branch here. So you also work with a lot of athletes
mm,
in collegiate level, bodybuilding and other sports. Um, let's discuss methodology and mindset because we do have fighters here, we have gymnasts here at the Foundry, we have all kinds of different people. And maybe somebody who's watching this, they're in shape, they know how to work out, they got all that down, right? You know, what's a good way to keep motivation when you have the results and not to lose your ground, so to speak? Or like you've gotten to the shape that you want to be in, But then you know what happens. We go out with our friends. We have
Mhm.
dinner out a little bit more than we should because when we were focused on our goal, we were very strict. We were disciplined. We did what it took. But then you can kind of like lose track of that once you hit that goal. You hit that mark and you're like, okay, I've lost the weight I needed to. I got my blood pressure down. I did this, and then we start to slip back into old habits and things like that. Or from an athletic standpoint, you're used to the consistent training and everything's the same all the time. And so you can lose a little bit of that edge. So, from a psychological aspect, what do you think is a good way to stay focused in those cases?
Change your routine. Change your routine to something else. Particularly with athletes, athletes can be very goal oriented. Well, people in general can
Mm.
be very goal oriented. So, having goals that are attainable give you the motivation to continue with goals or changing those goals. So, athletes again and people can be very competitive with themselves. So, they come in, they want to achieve something or they want to compete so they can show that they can be successful at that, which is what I love about Foundry, because you can come in here and be training in one particular area of the gym and feel like, okay, I've had some success here. I've reached my goals. It's getting, I don't know, I'm a little bored with this now. I want to do something else. There is something else here for you to do,
Something
right?
for everyone,
There's
right?
always something, right?
Yeah.
Right? Jump into jujitsu, jump into Olympic style weightlifting, or jump into whatever it happens to be, or wrestling, or martial arts, or aerial sports, or gymnastics, or whatever. But there's always something for you to to pick up to compete again with yourself. But even if it's not, even if you're okay, I just want to do the machines and cardio, completely change the routine. So for example, you might decide that when you start out, people will normally break up their routine. They'll do like a chest, shoulders, tricep one day, back, biceps another day, legs another day, whatever it happens to be. Completely change that. Start working on your priorities, right? Where you're focusing on your muscle groups. Go from machines to just barbell, to platform work, to just dumbbells, or completely change that in general. And instead of breaking up your routine, do 3 days, come in here, get your entire body done, moving quickly, 30, 45 or seconds between rest periods. That's a completely different routine. That is a complete, now you're doing cardio
Mhm.
training, right? That's a completely different routine. You're going to respond differently. You're going to feel differently. And you know what? You're going to be out of here in 20 minutes dripping,
Mhm.
right? And that's a different mindset. Now you're not thinking on the way home, God, I'm kind of tired. I'm going to do the same thing. I spend another hour in that gym, an hour and a half. By the time I get home, it's 2 hours. No, no, no. You're in here. You're out of here in 20 minutes. You're dripping. You've had a great workout. You respond differently. And you get home in, a fast period of time, like, wow, I got so much more time on my hands right now. So there's all kinds of ways to change your routine to keep it going. And I will also say this, there are times when you need a rest,
Yeah,
a
for sure.
week, 2 weeks. You'll lose a little cardio. Your respiratory system will take a bit of a decrement in 2 weeks, and it comes back very quickly. Muscle, no. You're not losing anything in that 2 weeks, right? Muscle has a memory. It comes back like that, right?
Mhm.
So you're not losing any major strength then. You might find you're not sleeping as well within those 2 weeks, and, other things are not like you might, your energy level might change. But in general, change the routine to get yourself new goals to keep yourself motivated.
Do you think it's beneficial? You know, one of the things, the taglines we had in this gym is that we're like family, right?
Mhm.
We know the people who come in here. We talk to each other. As the owner of the gym, I'm always here doing
Yeah.
something, even cleaning up and stuff. It's not
Yeah.
like I'm never here. But when it comes to even our gym members, we form these bonds and
Mhm.
relationships. Do you feel like, in certain aspects, training with people is a benefit and a boost as compared to training alone? Or
Yeah.
or do you think that, you know, is it worthwhile to make buddies in the gym for your end results, in your opinion?
Yeah. But let me go even further. For someone starting out, they might, if they're not going to work with a trainer, they may even, and oftentimes I find people want to do this, they may even want to come in with somebody. Hey, me and my friend are going to start this together. and that's perfectly fine. I see that a lot with USCB students. They
Mhm.
come here and you are gracious to let them come in and train. And a lot of times they'll come in with their roommates, right? They don't know where to
Sure.
go. They don't want to start, they're a little intimidated. So that's first. But absolutely, this is a great social environment, which is why I'm always stunned when someone says, I'm a little intimidated to go in there. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right? These are the nicest people. In fact, we're thinking about this the other day. Most of my friends are in this gym. I don't think I have, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not a friendly guy, but I don't have a lot of friends outside the gym, right? But I talk to everybody in here,
Yeah.
and even the people who have their headphones on that are in their own world, they will still pop their headphones off, say hello, talk to you, help you, no matter what. I mean, everyone in here is kind and friendly and supportive and encouraging, right? I mean,
Mhm.
they'll come up to you and just say, "Hey, man, how do you do that? That is really good. Like, what do you do for this? What do you do for that?" People want to learn and they want to know what you're doing, right? So absolutely, I think the social environment keeps you coming back. But what I like about a buddy and a partner, or even friends in the gym who you're going to see here, is there are oftentimes when I was training for a competition, whatever I was doing, I would feel like, man, I got to show up for my buddy more than I got to show up for me, right? Like they're going to miss me, right? They're going to wonder where I am, right? So that's one thing. But yeah, there are times I come in this gym and I get a lot more satisfaction out of the people I talk to, and I encourage them, they encourage me, and just the friendliness of that even out of being done with my own workout, right? There's always
Sure.
satisfaction to be done with my work. But yeah, the social environment, it's what we're missing a lot of times with post COVID and social media and people not going in the office very much, or even when they do go in the office, those may not be their people, right?
Yeah.
You'll find that if you're interested in fitness, these are your people, right?
Yeah.
And all kinds of people, all kinds of ages, and the men, women, doing all kinds of different things, and that's fun for me, right? Someone's interested in health and fitness, they feel like there's a camaraderie,
Mhm.
you know, and a friendliness and a helpfulness that I found in this gym more than even in my own gym, the Gold Gym I had for 15 years. And so there's something about that. Maybe it's Beaufort, I don't know, but there's a friendliness here and a support system. I think that is really, really key, right? I mean, you get to know people and you haven't been here in a while. Um, they'll come up, where you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Where you been?
All right, Bob. So being that, I teach martial arts, and when you're in there on the mat and you're grappling around, you're wrestling around with people, and you get sweat in your face, and I hate to say sometimes it drips on you from
Yeah,
other
right.
people. That's one of the big complaints that people have, that they don't like the sweat. But you can't help but like bond with those people. And you wrestled before in high school and so forth. So like you understand that with that struggle and with that intensity and that, close physical interaction, you build, emotional bonds with people. And sometimes it's rivalries, sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
healthy rivalries,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's a little bit unhealthy, but there's a rivalry side of it, but then there's also the friendship side of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of my, like you said, most of my friends
Yeah.
are here in the gym, partly
Yeah.
because this is where I'm at most of the time, but
Yeah.
second of all, because, you get so close to the people, you get to know them, you get to struggle with them. Um, I've known many people, and going into a deeper level here, that like just being there for people, just having an outlet, a physical outlet, obviously with dopamine release and things like that you get from working out, but like having the ability to give somebody a release
Mm-hmm.
from all the stress in the world. And the world is very stressful, probably the most stressful it's been in a long time. And so like I know personally, and obviously not going to name any names, but I've had multiple conversations. I was just having a staff meeting yesterday and we talked about how, I've had people tell me, if I wouldn't have come here, if I wouldn't have talked to you, if I wouldn't have been part of this gym, I was thinking about,
Yeah.
ending it.
Yeah.
And in those situations, man, it's just like, first of all, to be in that mindset, you know, obviously I want those people to
Yeah.
find another reality or a different goal that can help them through it. But I mean, just being there for people, And like you were saying, like the mentality here, I think it comes from that fostering of that desire to help people.
Yeah.
That's where I get into it. I talked with Ben last week and we were discussing my goals for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I want to I don't even care about my legacy here. I
Yeah.
want to help other people.
Sure.
I want to help them accomplish their goals. I want to see changes in people's lives,
Yeah.
beneficial changes. And I would love for that to be viral in its
Yeah.
approach so that, you know, person comes in here, starts working out, they make a friend who helps them out,
Right.
gets them along their goal. Somebody new comes in, guess what? They can
Yeah.
have a friend in that person.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's to me, it's not a utopia, but it's a good result that comes from that kind of environment, in my opinion.
Right. Right. We all are looking, especially in a society where there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of interpersonal stress, and then there's stress in the society in general. We're all looking for connections, and um, so you've hit on a number of things, and they all kind of come together. There's certainly the physical side, the fact that we are physically stressed, and we come in here, and the exercise is a great way to release it. Then there's the sort of the mental and the emotional side of it. I've had scenarios here, Abe, where I've just gone up to someone and just said, hey, hey, how's it going? How you doing today? And it'll start with, I don't know. I still got a rough day today. And, I was just going to go home, and I figured, well, at least I'll just come in the gym. Yeah. Yeah. What's going on? And next thing you know, there's, tears and just like, oh, you're not going to believe what happened today. Um, there's that, there's that physical release, but there's also the mental, the emotional side that I need to come in here and get something off my chest. I need to come in here and just let this, I need to burn through this. I have to, and there's physically, that is a release, but it's also a mental and emotional release. But it also allows a connection, right? I mean, we're both in here working hard, busting our butts, and I want, what's going on with, how you doing, right? I want to, we're struggling. We're in a foxhole here, right? But so tell me, right? And there's that connection. You develop that bond, that friendship. It really, I mean, it's important, but also, to help people achieve certain goals in here, that also helps them, you bond as well. But then there's the social side, the fact that we just, these friendships are enduring, and they're ways that we help one another, and that's kind of what's in your heart. I want to help people attain. I want to help people achieve. I want to help people get their goals, and help them do things that they didn't think they could do. And I think all of that is sort of what compels people to come back, right? That, okay, I right now I don't really know that I want to train, but I'm going to go in that gym, right? I'm going to see friends of mine, and I'm going to get encouraged, and I'm going to, I'm going to smile and have a good time. I'm going to laugh for the first time today, and I'm going to get a good workout in, and I'll feel a lot better when this is all over. I think that keeps people coming back, and that breeds success, right?
Mhm.
And that consistency. I'm showing up because this is what I do. And even though I don't know that I have the motivation right now, I'll come in and I'll do one exercise. Next thing you're like, I'm all right. It feels pretty good. And then someone will say hello to you, and you start talking, and you see your friends, and next thing you know, it snowballs, and you get yourself a great workout. And
Sure.
that's typically what happens.
What do you think? Let's do this. Would you share, like, because you have a wealth of history and experience in gyms, if you go back in time a little bit
Mm,
and you could point out somebody that really impacted you as a young man, maybe, or, a little
mm,
older, somebody you met maybe working out or in some sort of fitness aspect, could you give us a little insight, maybe some advice that you got along the way
mm.
that might apply to somebody? Maybe just a little gem somebody listening to this might get something out of that you got something out of.
Yeah. Wow. There've been so many, that have sort of impacted me along the way. Um, I had, some of you may know the name O.C. Welch,
Mhm.
Ford, Lincoln Mercury. Well, he's got a younger brother named Brian. Brian is in Savannah. He was my training partner for such a long period of time. And Brian brought a level of fun, humor, um, uh, to the training that I had never had before. I put so much on my shoulders that every day I come in there, the training had to be brutal. It had to be better than it was the day before. And that brought me to a place where I couldn't keep it going.
Yeah.
Right. Training became a stress. Like, am I going to continue to succeed? Everybody's expecting more from me. I have to get better and better. And Brian brought a level of, hey man, we're going to do this together and we're going to have fun, and I'm going to push you and you're going to push me. And no matter what happens, we're getting better at this. Right. But we're going to do it through just a relaxed, fun way to train. Right. Let's shake this up. Let's do something different. Let's have a lot of fun. And I think that took the expectation right off my shoulders, that I had to keep getting better and better and better. And I could keep getting better and better, but not the way I was doing it. Not just the constant stress and pressure. Got to get stronger. Got to put more weight on the bar. Got to move. So I think don't take it all too seriously.
Yeah.
That it ceases to become fun.
Yeah.
Was really an important thing for me. And I'll never forget him for that. And he became one of my best friends ever. He's down in Tampa. We still call each other. And when we get off the phone, we're like, I love you, man, because this is a level of camaraderie, of brotherhood, that he sort of understood what I needed, and he brought that to the table. And to this day, it's fun when I train, right? And even though it can be, maybe you can feel a little bit monotonous, I'm going to do something that's going to make it fun. And it may be bringing other people into the equation, but I think that was important for me. And then of course on the physical side, learning from others that I didn't always have to put more weight on the bar. What I really need to do was shake things up, right? And just do something different. I remember training with Lee Labrada. Lee Labrada is a great bodybuilder. Training at his gym in Houston, and I'm doing shrugs. I'm doing dumbbell shrugs. So I go over to the rack and I pick like 125, right? And I'm a little guy, and I'm busting my. He comes over to me. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "I don't do that." And Lee Labrada's right. He's not that tall a guy, but he's huge, right? Second in the Olympia a number of times. And he goes over, picks up 75s, and he's doing nice, slow, controlled. I mean, just perfect. It's not much of a range of motion, but I mean, he was just squeezing and perfect. And he's exhausted, and his traps like that. And I'm thinking, okay, I got a lot to learn here.
Yeah.
So really changing my mindset around of again, not having to constantly push myself to be stronger and stronger and stronger, have some fun with it. And switch it around and make it something that's always a little different every day.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
I think it's good advice in more than just bodybuilding.
Well, that's
or
true too.
training. Yeah,
that's true too.
Have fun in life.
Man.
Have a sense of humor. Surround yourself by people that make it enjoyable.
Exactly.
And
lighten the load when you have to. That's right.
Even if it's getting heavier.
Even if it's getting heavier. That's right. That's right.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
It's been an awesome time. And if you guys are looking to see Bob come down to the Foundry, he's always here.
Dude, come up to me. Say hello.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what the 63 years of living on this planet has taught me about being in the gym. It may be helpful, it may not be helpful, but I want to thank you, Abe. It took a lot of guts to open up a fitness center this big. You don't see fitness centers like this in towns like Beaufort. And that's why I'm such a big fan, man. You do a great job here. You're doing it right. I'm just proud of what you've done here, and I'm just proud to be part of it.
Well, it's great having you as a friend and a brother. Yeah, and
you bet.
I appreciate you again.
Absolutely, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.